out to me. There's a guy, even till yesterday, he reached out to me. So what I would advise is that instead of downloading the ISO file, you can download the OVA. So I've forgotten his name. He reached out to me. He installed using the ISO file because what's it called? Kali, you can see Kali in ISO file format or in OVA file format. So the difference is that the ISO file, you download it, then you have to customize your own configuration. Like, it doesn't come pre-installed with the number of gigs or the hard disk space, unlike the OVA file. The OVA file is already set up. All you need to do is just to launch it, just as if you are opening an application, right? So I think what he did was he tried installing using the ISO file, then he was having issues. It was installing completely, but he was not able to log in for some reason. So I told him, okay, can you just uninstall and download the OVA file? Then the default password is I think it's Kali or something. So that was how he was able to resolve his issues, right? So please, if you're having issue with the ISO file, you can also consider running downloading the OVA file. Provided that you have VMware or VirtualBox, then you should be able to open it with the default username and password and still continue using it. So I don't know how many of us have our what's it called, our Kali setup. Please, if you have your Kali setup, can you indicate in the chat? Okay. So if you have your setup, let me know. Let me know that, so that I know how many of you have your setup. Okay. Oh yeah, Daniel, I saw your assignment. Well done. It's a very good one. Yeah. There's a guy too called Jeff, right? I did very well with the assignment. Yeah. So I'm still waiting. If you don't have your setup, please let us know. Okay, this is the challenge you are having, because I think from this point forward, most of what we are going to be doing will be on the Kali. So it's very important, especially if you have a system. It's good to have it set up, right? And if you don't have your setup at the moment, then you can let us know and what reason. Somebody reach out to me that the system is very bad. So I quite understand, but let me know those of us that has set up already, so that we can know where to start from. I'm still waiting. Please, you can indicate on the chat. So it's only that then okay. Okay, you couldn't find the ISO file. So I would advise that you get the OVA file. So okay, so let me just, I'm still waiting for every other member of the team so that we can start. Okay. Sorry, who is logged in as user? Why are you having this difficulty setting up the machine? What's the issue? Did you download the file? You can unmute and talk to me. Let me know what issue you're trying to face. Okay, so for Benedicta, why was it crashing? What is the spec of your own system at the moment? Is it 8 gig RAM, 500 gig? Okay, so sorry, who is logged in as user? What's your name? Oh, yeah, I understand. Benedicta, for 2 gig RAM, it's going to be quite impossible, right? Because ideally you need 2 gig RAM for your Kali. So if you give the Kali your old 2 gig RAM, then there's nothing for your physical machine to use, right? So it's going to crash. So for that instance, I don't know. Do you have if you have working PC, you could use it. And at the moment, Kali does not have a cloud version. Okay, so Benedicta, chat me up later. There's also a way you can install Kali directly on your Windows machine, but it will not come pre-installed with other what's it called, tools, because the what makes Kali so unique is because it comes with pre-installed tools. You don't need to start installing all those tools over and over again. But there's a version of Kali that comes like just as it is without any tool. So if you want to use it, you have to start downloading tools. But again, I think you need to upgrade. I think the first thing, honestly, you need to do is to upgrade your RAM from 2 gig, to maybe, let's say 4 gig, or 6 gig or 8 gig. You can buy a RAM and replace it, on your system, right? You can do that. Sorry, I'm asking, who is the person logged in as user? What's your name, please? Who is logged in as user?
Good evening, it's me, Jane.
Oh, Jane. So what was the, okay. Okay, so what was the issue with your own PC?
I don't know. I just downloaded the Metasploitable from the link you sent me, and I'm finding it difficult mounting it on the.
Oh, you have Kali already?
Yes.
What was the spec of your system?
Core i5 Pro. HP.
Okay. The RAM size is
64.
Oh, then it's more than enough to.
That's exactly what I don't understand.
It's are you using what are you using VMware or VirtualBox?
VMware.
Okay. Now it should work because 64 gig is quite much and very, has a lot of space in it. Please guys, the reason why I want you guys to, especially if you have enough resources, please, it's very important you set it up, because honestly, having an offensive or a lab, let me say having a lab is not just a requirement for defensive or offensive. As a cybersecurity personnel, it's a must. Honestly, it's a must for you to have a lab. That's why I want you to set it up yourself so that you go through the experience. If it's not coming, you uninstall and find the one that you can do it yourself. Because when you are on the job, you don't, nobody will listen to excuses. You can get on maybe an interview and they're telling you that this is Kali and it's not set up. What do you do? Or you have a server that is bad. How do you set it up? So you should be able to set up an attacker and a victim machine, within your lab. And if you have resources constrained, try and look out for a budget, try and budget for how you can upgrade it. Because one way or the other, the best thing is for you to invest in yourself. Find a way to upgrade your system. Better still, have a good system. If you have so much resources on your system, you could buy an external disk so that you could save them out and clear space. It's very important for you, especially if you are doing a practical training like this. It's important, right? Please, is anybody still having challenge? I'm taking my time to go through all this so that I don't want anybody to feel left out. If you're having any issue that you feel that we can address, it's important that you reach out to me that, these are my issues, right? Is anybody still having issues? Okay, so all right, we can start today's class, right? Okay. Okay, so for the I sent a guide on the group chats That was last week, Saturday, showing step by step on how you can set the Metasploitable up. I wouldn't advise you to install Metasploitable on your Android or Kali on your Android phone or anything. It should be on your PC. So you should already have your VM set up first. You know, it should be on your PC. But I noticed that a lot of us didn't do the assignment, right? There are two parts to it. There's one part for Metasploitable, but there's another part that you don't even really need Metasploitable to do it. That was the part that had to do with investigating any two banks. I think only 4 people actually submitted. You know, this is really very bad. You know, so I feel that even if you've not set up your own Kali, you can still do the other assignment, because most of the exercises that we did last week, we didn't use Kali, right? So that's why I decided to put the assignment into 2 parts. There are some people that I think about 5 to 6 people submitted. So some people actually just do the information gathering activity, which is good. At least you make an attempt. But a lot of you guys didn't do any of those assignments. And doing the what's it called, the reconnaissance aspect of the assignments, all you need to do is open a browser and start doing information gathering with on several platforms that we used last week. And like I said, the best way for us to learn is actually by doing, so I won't encourage you to go through this program and don't practicalize anything. At least learn something that you're able to set up a lab and do something. Okay, so I want to listen to Adigbola. Let me hear from you. Can you unmute and?
Okay, good evening, everyone.
All right.
Yeah, actually wanted to find out from that assignment we did. We did Reconnaissance, which has to do with scanning of the bank's network.
Yeah.
So I want to find out, does it mean that, because from the previous lecture we had, the other one you sent the link through the WhatsApp, the guy mentioned that whenever we scan a bank's network, the bank is usually aware of that. So I want to be sure, is it that when we do such too, the bank will be aware that someone actually scanned their network or something? Okay. I want to be clarified.
Okay, so information gathering is a legal activity. It's just like you going out to check, what's it called, facebook.com, or checking out, what's it called, polarisbank.com. It's just like you using, that's why you are not using any tool, so to say. You are using a website to search information. That's why it is called public available information. If the bank don't want you to know about that information, they will hide it. So if you are carrying out information gathering, right, it is legal anywhere in the world. The only thing is that you are not conducting a DDoS attack on the bank, right? So secondly, to answer your question, most banks in Nigeria, I stand to be corrected, most banks that I've actually worked with most times, they are not aware. They are not aware, because it's just like you have a website out there, except you have an analytic tools that can help you check that, okay, so number of people visited my website, but most people don't, right? They just have a website. So what you are trying to do is that you are trying to search that website beyond the normal user, what the normal user would do. You are trying to look at what technology is being used to create that website. What are the versions of the, for example, Apache or JavaScript that are being used? Then you want to also check if those versions are exploitable, are vulnerable. Do you understand? So those are public as available information out there. If you search a particular bank, somebody did a very good work and submitted the report. He did, I think it was for Polaris Bank, but the problem that he did a very good work around information gathering, gathered enough information, I was really impressed, but he didn't go on to scan, because I was expecting that you can run and you, for example, you discover an IP address, you should be able to scan on that IP address to see if there's any port open. There's nothing bad there. It's a practice. It's for you, and it will be very good. For me, there's something I did. There was a time I was trying to learn when I was learning Xkaki. I did it for an SME, and I discovered so many criticality. I did a report and sent it to the SME, to somebody that works there, that I did a scan, and I noticed that you guys are very vulnerable. That's why I'm sending this report, so that you can patch up. And they were very grateful, like, wow, that, So I was expecting that you guys could just run a scan, show me the IP addresses. Are there external open ports, public available ports that are there? Because this is what an attacker would do. So if you are, for example, employed as a security analyst or something, how will you be able to secure your external facing assets if you are not able to do these things? So that's why I was giving it to you guys. I was trying to make it as real as possible, so that you can see if actually there's a vulnerability. During the session last week, we did a scan for, I think for a bank, and we didn't notice any vulnerability, right? So that was the expectation, that at least if you call yourself a financial institution, you should be, as secure. So that was what I want you guys to do it yourself. So to answer your question, there's nothing wrong trying to scan an asset, that is publicly available. In fact, some companies will pay you if you find any vulnerability. That's what they call bug bounty. They'll pay you. They will appreciate you for going out there to discover a vulnerability and report it, before it is noticed by, the bad guys. I don't know if I've answered your question correctly. Okay, so this is it. Somebody said downloaded the Metasploitable and couldn't install it. Do you have VMware on your network, on your system? I think that's Tolulope. Sorry, I'm just trying to answer your question.
It's VirtualBox that I have.
Okay, so what was the challenge when you were installing it, when you were trying to install it?
Okay, the steps that he said, okay, you go to file, then click open. But when I went to file, there was no option that was looking like open. So I tried some other, but it didn't work.
And it still didn't work. But when you downloaded the Metasploitable, did you uncompress it? Because when you download it, it is in a zip
I extracted.
You extracted it. So
yes.
when you went to the file part, right?
Yes.
Did you go to the location of that file that you extracted?
Yes.
And you didn't see anything?
No, I saw something there. But when it was the time to okay, you click on it, then click open so that it will now enter, it was showing blank.
It was showing blank?
Yes.
It was not running. Oh, okay, that might be, Daniel, you're on this call, right? Was it VMware you used or VirtualBox?
I used VMware Fusion for Mac.
Okay, for Mac. Okay, yours was for Mac. Yeah. Who have installed his own on Windows? Who else has installed the what's it called? The Metasploitable? Because I have it installed on my system, so I don't want to uninstall it because it's going to take a lot of time. That's why I sent what's it called, a guide for you guys to use. And if you are going through a guide and it's still not very clear, you could reach out or look out for a what's it called, a video on YouTube that will show the steps on how to download it, because one of the good things about having Metasploitable is that it gives you, unlike TryAcme and Hack the Box, you have to, even with TryAcme and Hack the Box, you need to set up your, what's it called, your Kali Linux first, so that you'll be able to remotely access the network of TryHackMe or Hack the Box, but having your own Metasploitable is like having a vulnerable machine on your own network so that you can try to use it anytime. Because if you're using TryHackMe, after 1 hour, you will be kicked out, because you're using a free version. But if you have it set up yourself, you have your Kali and you have your, what's it called, your Metasploitable set up yourself, it will be easy for you to exploit it, and play around so that you can learn more. Okay. So these are already 4:30. So I'm going to start with our today's class, but I want to ask, do you guys understand what we've done so far? Is there any part you want me to go back to and explain further? If you have any feedback, please let me know before we move on.
Hello.
All right. Yeah, I can.
Please, is there anything maybe a guide to in Windows, when you are starting up with Windows, there's usually the beginning part that talks about exploring the window. Yeah. Is there anything like that for Kali?
Yeah. Did you download the guide that I sent on the group chat? The professional yes. PDF. Did you open it?
Yes.
That's that guide. If you open it and go through all those steps there, honestly, it's enough for you, because most of the Kali, what's it called, guide is always very bulky. But somebody did a professional guide of 98 pages. Okay. If you sit down, that was why I said, so, okay, the truth about it is that, no, I'm not sure. I didn't really go out to learn Windows, in a center, because most times, because it's an operating system. There's so much to learn about operating system. There's so much to learn about the architecture. So before we start this class, I will explain the architecture of a Linux operating system and how it works. But okay. The reason why I sent the guide was that it contains all the necessary commands for you to, and explain what each of those commands does. So I expect that once in a while, if you are free, you open your Kali, open that PDF, and try and go through it. Especially, I'll give you an example, how to create a file, how to move a file, how to copy and paste, But the recent Kali environment now even use GUI. So even if you're not very familiar with the command prompt, you can still use GUI, right? To copy and paste. But if you are not practicing, and I feel that if you are stuck, check online, because even me, myself, I don't know all the commands that you can use. So there are times that I'm looking for a command, right? I would check on Google. You will see it there. Then you practice it if it works. That's the best way to learn how to use Kali. Trust me. So that's why I sent that 98-page guide last week. I think so last week. Yes. You don't have it, I can send it to you so that you then you can open it, try and go through those commands and practice it yourself so that you learn over time. And honestly, I will say this, in the course of my career, I've not seen anybody that knows all the Kali command. There, nobody will penalize you for going to Google to check what a command does or you understand my point. But the most important thing that you should be able to know that, okay, this is the command I'm looking for, and this is what I'm trying to achieve. That's why I'm giving a lot of all these assignments. All right.
All right, thanks.
All right. So is there any other question from anybody before we move on? You want us to go back and maybe talk on or expatiate more on some key concepts that you missed or you don't really understand at the time, so that I can get your feedback, then can know how best to do it. All right. Sorry, I'm just taking my time to ensure that everyone is carried. And if you, like I said, if you have challenge, you can always try and reach out to me. And so that I can. Or Daniel is there, Joseph is also there. You can reach out to any of us, so that we can find a way to work together on this. Sorry, I'm trying to bring up my slide. Just a minute. Talked about. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So I don't know. Can you guys see my screen? No.
Not yours.
Okay. I just not showing. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen now? Right? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so the topic we have for today is basic what's it called, is scanning and enumeration. But before I jump into that topic, I just want to explain something on the Linux environment, especially for those of us that are new to it. Okay, so basically, this is where I don't know, okay, so I sent you guys these links, right, for you to download some of the, for those of us that have downloaded it, and some of us are still even having issues, right? So when you download the Kali environment, right, I also pasted here some commands, right, that you can use to view the version of the Kali that you installed, and also if you want to create a user, you can see, because when you install Kali, it comes with a user account, a non-admin account, which is Kali username and password. So you can also enable your root account. The root account is created, but it's not enabled. So you can enable it by, you can see the step that I put in here by doing sudo PASSW. That means password. Do a sudo password. Sudo means login as root account, super user account. That's what it means. So once you do a sudo password, it will ask you for the new password of the the root accounts, right? Then you can change it, because when you install it, you don't know the root account password. So you need to change it so that you can start using the root, But ideally, in an enterprise environment, you are not allowed to use root accounts. Root accounts in Windows, in Linux, is just the same thing as an administrative account in Windows. So most times you won't have access to the administrative account. You will have access to low privilege user account, right? This is to ensure that users don't have unrestricted access to resources within a system. It's also a way to ensure security, CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, right? Okay, so within the Kali Linux environment, it is a multi-user environment, in the sense that what it means is that a user, you can, just like Windows, you can have multiple users accounts created on the Linux environment. you can have multiple users accounts created on the Linux environment. But what I want to share most importantly on this session is the architecture of a Linux system environment, which most of the time, most people don't know. Now, on the Linux environment, when you install the Linux environment, right, you have it this way. You have it come this way. Just like Windows. Let me try to log in so that you see what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is how your Linux environment is once you set it up. Currently, I've enabled my root account, so I'm just going to log in as root, right? So I'm going to log in as root. Now, this is my Linux environment, right? So if I come in, like I said, what makes Kali, so unique is because it comes with pre-installed tools that you don't need to install yourself. It is designed for pen testers, hackers, as you can see, and those tools are classified in different groups. You can see from the start information gathering tools, you can see there are different tools that you can use to gather information. If you remember last week, we made use of a platform called Spiderfoot. You can see that the application is even installed on Kali, right? So it's not like you have to memorize or try and cram any of this thing. No, you just need to know how the platform work. Now, so the first thing you want to do as an hacker, during your penetration testing, is to carry out information gathering. And I love the fact that they've been able to gather these tools in one location, for us to use. All you need to do is to click on any of them and log and start running your scan. You can see Nmap, Net Discover, that we used last week, to look out for active IP addresses, right, within our network. Then also, you can see other categories of application. We have for vulnerability analysis. We can use Nikto. Nikto is used to conduct vulnerability analysis on a web application, right? So let me say, click on this. So what I'm doing right now is just go through the different features that we have on Kali, and explain the architecture for us on the high level. Now, if you want to use Nikto, for example, like I said, is a vulnerability assessment solution. Helps you check your website if it is vulnerable to cross-site scripting, XQL injection attack, and the like. So all you need to do is you type in Nikto, right? Then you type in your domain, and then it starts searching for it, so okay, so I think my format is okay, so let me do it. Let me see the dash hosts. I think we have dash host as a flag there. So let me put host. You can see we have dash hosts here. Then let me change it again. So I'm not sure if it's domain name or the full qualified domain name that has the URL. Well, let me check it out. Okay, so we didn't put the dash host flag. So you can see it start running, trying to scan to check if the domain we put in there is vulnerable to cross-site scripting, XQL injection attack, So that is on the vulnerability aspect of the solution. Vulnerability aspect of Kali, right? So you can see other tools, even Nmap too can be used to carry out vulnerability analysis, right? So Nmap is not just used to scan your network, to check for which port is open or which service. You can even use Nmap to run vulnerability assessment, right? On a high level. It's not the same as using solutions like Nexus, Qualiserve, Qualys, Nexus, we have Nexpose, Rapid7. These are vulnerability assessment solution, right? So we also have a group, you can see another group here for web application analysis. So that's why I really want you guys to have your Kali set up so that it would be very easy for you to, play around some of these tools, especially Bob Suit. Bob Suit is also a very good tool when it comes to web application analysis, right? Also, you can see to carry out X-square injection attack you can see X-square map. X-square map is used to automate X-square injection, right? You can see to automate X-square injection. That is what we use X-square map for. So there are different tools out there. But aside from the classification of the tool, what else do we need to know? If you come in here, you will be able to see that I want to open open a folder. Then I want to, just like in Windows systems where you have the C drive, if you go into the file system, you will see these are different folders that comes pre-installed on Kali. The question is, what do they do? What do they contain? How can I utilize them? So first of all, you can see that we have the root. This is the home directory for the root user. Now I think that I put a slide trying to explain. Okay. Just like what I opened, these are some of the folders that comes pre-installed with Kali, just like I said. And now these are their functions and what they do, their meaning. Like the bin directory that we saw here, you can see /bin, this bin directory that we saw here. What exactly is it used for? You can see that it's for basically it is used for let me use this graph. So it basically contains binaries, command binaries. What do I mean by command binary? On Kali environment, there are so many commands that you can run, and these commands are called binaries, right? For example, you can see on this chart, we have, these are the list of commands, right, that we have under the bin folder. Now, on my Kali, I can come to, if I open a terminal, if you want to open a terminal to run your command, of course, you come here to open your terminal. So if I come here and type, because there are different commands, if I type ls is to list your folders, your files that you have. You understand? If you want to list it in a, in a tabular format, you can do this. It will list the files. It will show you the permissions that it has. Right, it will show you the users that have it and the group where the user belongs to. Like you can see this folder, this anything you see in blue is folder, right? And anything, any file that starts with D, is telling that this is a directory, right? Anything that you see in blue is a directory. Anything that you see in white is just an ordinary file, right? So it's telling you that this directory, as is owned by root user and belongs to the root group, right? That is what is showing you here, right? So why do I need to know about this? Because you should be able to know if a particular file is a directory or not, and what are the privileges that is assigned to that file or what's it called, directory, right? So you can see that it has read, write, access. Arrow means read, W write, and X means execute, right? That is what it means, right? So it's telling you that this belongs to the root user, right? So now you can all, just like in Windows, you can create files, you can delete files, you can copy files from one point to another, right? You see that this part, it doesn't start with D, it's telling that this is a file, right? So we have several commands. We have several commands within the Kali environment. But like I said, it takes time for you to practice to know how to use them. Now, if I do pwd, means it wants to know what location. You will be using that command a lot because you want to know what location you are within your Kali environment, right? So pwd shows that I'm currently in the root directory. So if I want to I want to move from the root directory to another directory, like to my desktop, to my desktop folder, you can see that we have desktop is here, documents is here, download pictures. These are different folders. So if I want to go to the desktop folder, I need to use a command called cd, change directory. Then you put the name of the folder, which is desktop, right? So this is what you do. Then you move to the desktop. You can see that currently I'm no longer on the root. I am on the desktop. Then do your ls again to see the list of files that are there. You understand my point? So what about if I want to check in? If you want to clear your screen, it's still the same word clear. It will clear your screen. I want to see, for example, the users that are logged in. You can use W, just W will show you users accounts. You can see it's showing you that there's a root user, is logged in this time, right? You can see currently logged in user. You can see with W command. So what I did is that's why I sent to you guys that list of what's it called, that document, because it contains a whole lot of command, and I love the way they strategize, they structure the document, because it starts from you understanding the file system, how to move command, how to create a file. So you can see, for example, I'm on this desktop and I want to create a file. Now, the truth about it is that without using this command line, doesn't mean I can't create a file. No, Linux is getting more flexible by the day. So you can create a file, you can come here and click, you see, create documents, create an empty file. You can see. So if you're having difficulties using the command line, you can also use the GUI to do whatever you want to do. You can copy, you can see, you can copy, paste, you can, the same thing. So if at this moment, if you are a newbie with the command line, it doesn't mean that you can operate the Kali. You can still use it, but the reason why you need to understand, because you are into cybersecurity, and in the enterprise environment, most of the servers are running on Linux operating system, and some of them don't have GUI. I've worked on servers that don't have GUI, and they expect you to operate it, right? So you are not. That's why it's important for you to be conversant with the command line. So let me just go through this architecture. So you can see the ls that we use. Right, we use the ls command. We also made use of the cd command. So all these commands that we are using on the command line, right, they are all stored, they are all called command binaries. They are called binaries, right, and they are stored within the /bin. Now, your configuration file, right, your configuration file on the what's it called, on the Kali or your Linux environment are stored under the /etc, normally called etc. That's where you see configuration files. For example, you can see host name. If you want to update your host.config, for example, if you want to update your DNS, your local DNS record, right, you can go into update it, your host.config file, right, and put in the IP address and your local DNS, right? You can do that. So, for example, if you come in here to see, on the Kali, if I go back to the terminal and I type host name, you can see host name is showing Kali, because that's the name of this machine, of this box. You can have a different host name. You can change it. You can go to that file and change it, right? So in case for example, you want to update your host name, you want to change it, you can go. So most of the configuration files, network configuration files, DNS configuration files, most of them are stored within the etc directory, right? The etc folder, for you to check time zones, So most of these binaries, I'll call them binaries again, are stored here. So for example, let me go back to the Kali. So for example, I want to see the list of users, not current users now, the list of users on this system. I can go to, I will do there's a command called cat. It means cat, to open, right? To open a file. That's what cat means. Now, I'll go to /etc, right? Then I'll go to where Kali normally store the list of users that are created, not just login users, but system users. There are some application users, system users, database users, you'll see there. So if I do this, you can see this is the command that I enter, cat etc this. It will show you the list of users to these are the first line here are the users accounts that we have. We can see Kali that we are currently logged in at, but we have other users. We have root, right? We have root users. This is the one that we are currently using. We have another users as Kali. We have another users as www-data. You know, some of them are system-based users. Some of them are just normal users that are used to log in into some of them are users accounts that are used to logging into the system, right? Some of them belongs to application users. Now, the next column that you see that is showing X are the encrypted format of the password. So this root account, this is the encrypted format of the password, is encrypted. So if we want to see the encrypted version itself, we can also go on to open, we can go on to cat, then still on the etc folder, right? Then, but this time we'll do what we call SHA shadow. All right. Let me see. Okay, yeah, shadow. So SHAWOL. Okay, you can see it now. You can see this user Kali. This is the encrypted format of the password to this part. So these are the list of users and the encrypted password. You can see user root, that is encrypted part, you know, format. So this password is really encrypted using advanced encryption system, AES, advanced encryption standard, right? So, and it's difficult for you to crack it. It's not as easy as you think. You can't crack it because there are several algorithms that goes into encrypting that password, you know, as it is. Yeah. So we talked about the etc. I don't know if anybody have any question at the moment. Okay, so we talked about the etc. Now we are looking at special system binaries, right? There's a difference between /bin and /sbin. System binaries just contain commands that are related to the system alone, right? It contains, so let me put it this way. The sbin contains more command. It's basically the same thing, but the sbin contains more commands that are not just restricted to system alone, but you can see system binaries are commands that are basically used for system to initiate, to activate an operation on the system. For example, if you can see if config is basically used for you to see your IP address, you understand. If you want to reboot the system, use the reboot. So let's go and check that. So if we go back to the Kali, right, I want to clear my screen. Then if I put in if config that we saw on the sbin, right, if config, right, you can see showing us IP address, right? This is the IP address of my Kali, right? Is your IP address is always on the the ETH0, the Ethernet 0, right? You can see the loopback IP address. This is the loopback IP address. This is my own IP address. You know that every system identify with me. This is my broadcast. This is my net. My what's it called? My broadcast, then my subnet max, right? So this is the IP address that I'm currently known as at the moment, right? So this is, like I said, is a command fdx. Okay, let's do fdx help. Let's see. I think it's a command that should help us check something, display disk partition. Okay, so we need an option to use it. So basically, they are just different commands that you can use. And like I said, if you go through the guides that I sent to you last week, it will really help you to explain into details, because we can't do this within 2 hours. Honestly, we can't go through the whole commands. There are tons. You can see these are not even all. These are just tons of commands. But this will help you understand the architecture. You understand, and you don't need to go into any of these folder to use these commands. All you need to do, anywhere you are, you can see that I'm not changing directory to any of these folder to use them. You can just run it, right? You can just run this command, and you get to see how you get to implement how it is being used. All right. So again, the /user command, you can see read only user application. So most of the applications that are installed pre-installed that comes and packages that we are using, all the applications that we are seeing or on this side, you can see most of all these applications are all, the folder where you can find them is within the what's it called, /user. You know, it contains all the commands that we use. Nmap, you can find it here. You know, user /here, you can find most of these command packages. They are called packages. You know, Linux call these commands packages. They are stored in here, right? Then the variable data /var means variable data file. So that is where you can see, for example, log files. Your log files, you know, basically all the things we are currently doing. If you install a new application, you delete, you uninstall, those operations are being logged in a file. You can see it within the variable log file, right? You will see, you know, you will see them there. We also have a temp directory, a temp folder. This temp folder, basically, that is where most attackers are always putting their application, because the temp folder by default is read, have the read permission, have the executable permission, and also have the write permission. So what attackers do is, if they remotely access your system, if it's a Linux-based operating system, they'll go and copy their application. Maybe it's a malware or a rootkit. You know, they will try and find a way to copy that application into the temp directory, temporary files, right? Because if any application that is copied within this folder, you know, automatically have permission to run, you know. So that's why, for example, if we want to launch an application and we don't have access, we don't have read-write executable permission to that application, or, you know, we can copy the application to the temp folder and run it, you know, and you see that the application will run. So USB drive, what's it called, mouse, all the peripheral devices that are connected to the Linux are all within the dev/dev directory, you know, /dev directory. That's where you will see it. Then any user that is currently logging, every user automatically have what we call a home directory, where you see your desktop, just like we have for Windows operating system. When user A login, you will see your profile, which is different from when user B logs in, right? So that is what the home directory try to replicate for Linux operating system. So basically, this is the architecture of a Linux operating system, right? Then some of the commands that we have, you know, if, for example, cursor movements, use just like how we have for Windows, where you have Control-C, Control-P to paste and all that. We also have those cursor commands too for Linux, you know, that can help you move from one part to another, right? Okay, so what else? Okay, so I just tried to, these are just some summarized version of some of the most commonly used Linux command, right? A summarized version of it. But on the document I sent to you, you will see these commands being explained into details and how you can use them, you know. we've used some of them just some minutes ago, where we use change directory, print working directory to show the current working directory. So over time, it's not instantaneous. Over time, if you are new to this, you'll get to learn how to run some of these commands, how to use them, right? So I don't know, do anybody have any question at this point? Because I want to quickly jump over to what we have for today. Is there any question, please? So that, is there any question, guys? Can we move on? Yeah, I'm waiting for your feedback. Can we all move on to, or do you want us to address something else? All right.
Hand is up.
Okay. Oh, okay. Adigbola, okay.
My question is this.
Yeah.
Does Metasploit have a desktop environment?
That is the thing. Metasploit does not have a desktop environment. So Metasploit is just like I said earlier. Let me show you the platform of Metasploit. So this is okay. I'm trying. Okay, so this is, you can see that Metasploit does not have a GUI environment. So if I try to, let me try and do a restart of these. I want to restart it. Okay, I'm not logged in as root. Sorry. Okay. So if I restart this, right? And the Metasploit itself is a very small file. Honestly, that was why I really want you guys to have it. You can see, let me show you the size. Okay, you can see you don't need to even set anything. It comes, like I said, the Metasploit is an OVA file. It comes pre-installed. It's just 512 MB. That is the memory is 512 MB. Processor is 1. Then hard disk is 8 gig. You can even give it 4 gig, or you can give it 2 gig. Right? It's something so small. There's no application on it. That's why it can really coexist with your Kali, right? So it just contains a lot of exploits that we can practice with, right? So to your question, you can see it's logged in. It has rebooted. Then I can log in with the default account. MSL admin. So from the site, it has, just like the Kali, it has the default username and password, MSF admin. Okay, MSF admin. You can see that I'm logged in. So if I do W2C, you can see this is it, right? You named, show you the version -A. You can see that this is Metasploitable. It contains a lot of what's it called, applications that are vulnerable for us to test our skills with. So that's why, like I said, this is how on the enterprise environment, this is how a lot of servers sees. This is how you get to work with them. They don't have GUI, especially Oracle. For example, Oracle Database, Oracle Server. Most of them, some of them don't have GUI, So it's that's why it's very important for you to get to know the Linux command. You can see if I do PW, you can see this. I'm currently logged in as MSF admin, and this is my home directory. I can change, do a change directory, to wherever, right? So these are my running processes at the time, so there's a lot you can do with it. But you should, that's why I said it's very important for us to know how to use the command on Linux. It's very important. It's very, very important. All right. So at this point, going to start up with the class that we have today. Oh, we don't have much time, honestly. So I'm just going to start off. So for today, we'll be talking about scanning and enumeration phase. Last week, we talked about information gathering phase, right? So during the information gathering phase, we talked about gathering publicly available information, trying to talked about Google Docking, trying to use several platforms to, get the DNS information, directories, right? And also how to scan for common ports, using Nmap online. I don't know if any of you had to, okay, so Nmap online, there are different platforms, even without using your Kali, you can use different platforms to scan. We have, this is Nmap only, can scan internet facing assets. You can't use this to scan, and you can't use it to scan internal facing assets, that is asset that are within the organization. It has to be external. So it is always basically used to scan maybe web application that are public facing, right? So we, apart from online Nmap, we also have what's it called? Nikto that we used within the Kali some few minutes ago. You can see that you can even use Nikto from your browser to scan, to do like a web application scanning, right? Or for your website, or for your what's it called, for your web applications, right? So those are some of the things we talked about during the information gathering phase, right? But today we'll be looking at the next phase, which is scanning and enumeration. So what does scanning and enumeration mean? After you've gathered your publicly available assets, then you have to carry out scanning to scan, for example, open port services, and also the version of those services running on those ports. Now, okay, so of course, if you are, like I said, anything you are going to learn during this class, please make sure it is used for legitimate purpose. Don't use it for illegal reasons, right? Okay, so the first phase, like I said, is reconnaissance, and I've talked a lot about this phase. You can see basically, like I said, we are gathering IP addresses and range, domain names, employee corporate information, right? That was why I gave you guys the assignment. Somebody did it and was able to gather a lot of information, right? So gather publicly available informations, from LinkedIn, on social media platform. Then the scanning phase is carrying out an active, doing an active scanning, that basically focuses on, to gather information more on the ports, associated services, application, the website. So you are trying to gather more information beyond the IP, checking that the IP is up. You want to see what kind of port is running, the services that are running. That is what we do during the scanning phase, and scanning can, scanning techniques also include, for example, using Nmap to do like a ping sweep scan. So a ping sweep scan is like you are not carrying out a vulnerability assessment scan. You're just trying to check if, any of how many systems are active, how many systems are reachable. So you just try and do a ping scan, to check, it's like you're trying to automate pinging. You can ping one asset, but if you want to automate pinging on the subnet, that's more like what they call ping sweep, So you can also, like I said, you can, apart from scanning a network, you can also run a default script scan, and Nmap is one of the most popular tools that you can use to carry out scanning, honestly. because of the versatility that it has. Then on the enumeration aspect of cyber attack phase, it's the difference between enumeration is that enumeration drills down to say, okay, since we've discovered an IP address that this particular victim is up, we can reach it. We want to also see what are the list of users, accounts that are logged in or that are created on that asset or that endpoint. What group do they belong to? Is there any default password that is in clear text? What are the share folders? Hidden or not, within that particular asset, give you some sort of information around the service information, running services, shared folder, like I've said earlier. So this is what enumeration does to say, okay, is there a network shared folder that is available, or does the victim have access to? Any of these shared folders or location. That's what enumeration gives us that visibility before we start going to exploit anything. Now, technically, we also talk about these are some of the activities that are carried out during the enumeration phase. For example, like I said, extracting usernames from email addresses, getting information about default password, doing like extracting user groups and list of users that are logged in, doing a brute force attack on Active Directory. These are some of the enumeration activities that can be done. Now, what are the objectives that we have for scanning? Scanning for live hosts, open port, services, and vulnerability. Those are some of the objectives that we aim to achieve. And we'll see that we'll practicalize this now using the Metasploit table, how we can achieve some of these things, right? So like I explained to you guys earlier too, I think it was last week, that there are certain ports that are go-to for hackers that we look out to exploit. Like you can see on the screen, FTP, Telnet, SMTP, DNS, HTTP, NTP. These are some of these ports that are that attackers are always looking out to see if they are open and what services are running on those ports, right? So also there are specific ports that Microsoft ports that for every attacker you want to look out for, especially these 4 ports. Why? Because these 4 ports are important and required for network file sharing. There's what we call SMB, server message block. It exists on majorly 4 ports. Now we have TCP port 135. Basically, what it's used for remote procedural call, like for from a client to a server communication. It is required that that port is open. And from my experience so far, I noticed that in a lot of enterprise network, you see these ports open because people want to configure network file sharing for easy transfer of resources from one system to another or from one branch to another. So you always see that these ports are open. So attackers try to see, number one, what SMB version is running. If these ports are open, is it restricted to specific users? Number two, is anonymous login enabled in this port? For example, SMB, is anonymous login enabled via SMB? So these are some of the ports that are very important. So as you can see, NetBIOS, what NetBIOS means is a network basic inputs outputs system. What it is network service that allows for file sharing from one system to another. So it's and this network service has been on Windows for a very long time, and like I said, works on these 4 ports most of the time. Like I was explaining to you guys, SMB, that is server message block, is one of the key services that attackers look out for, because the purpose, its main purpose is for file sharing, right? So attackers leverage on SMB for lateral movements. Maybe they exploit the system, they're able to gain access to a system. The next thing is that you want to see if port 445 is open, but what's it called, 139, 137 is open, so that you can exploit it to send your malicious file to other remote systems. So for Windows operating system, it is called assembly. For Linux operating system, it's called Samba. Samba is also used to share files between Linux and Windows-based operating systems, right? So there are different ways we can carry out enumeration, right? So let us start with our targets. Let's start before we continue with our slide. So we have an attacker machine, and we have, Okay, so this is our victim machine, right? Which is the metasploitable, and this is our attacker machine, which is the Kali, right? So we want to see how we can scan for vulnerability and how we can exploit this victim machine. So like I said, the first thing I'm going to make use of is to make use of the Nmap, right? So let's go back to that slide and start. Okay, so this is what we want to achieve. First thing, we want to check for live host, open port, services, and their version, then vulnerability, right? So the first thing we want to do now is to run an Nmap. But let's assume that we don't know the IP address of this metasploitable. How can we achieve it? Because if you want to run an Nmap, you run an Nmap against a target, right? So now I want to do Net Discover. That is what Net Discover will help you do. Net Discover will help you scan your entire local network to get what's it called, IP addresses that are active, that are reachable, right? So don't forget, so this is my interface, right? So I'm saying Net Discover should scan my interface for IP address that are reachable within my from my interface. That is what I'm doing. So also the Net Discover also have other options. So if you press, for example, if you just check on, and Discover, I think it's -H, let me see, dash help. Okay, so you can see there are different flags that you can use it, that you can use with the Net Discover tool. I'm using -I because I'm scanning, you can see -I to identify my own interface, which is EHTO, Ethernet 0, right? So you can also scan, it's not a must that you have to scan just a specific IP address. You can scan a range of IP address. You can see using -arrow, then you put in the IP address, then the subnet, right? It will scan that all subnets and give you the list of IP address that is reachable from your attacker's machine, right? So there are other options that could be exploited that you can make use of. So I want to make use of, by default, if you just type Net Discover, it will do a scan on your own interface, right? That's what we saw earlier. So, but I want to specify my own interface, right? Okay. Sorry, guys, I just want to close some of those terminals that I have open. Okay, so you can see it's trying to scan from the gateway, trying to scan to get the IP address, the MAC address, then also the vendor's name, if possible, or the host name. So we can see we have .100, .104. Currently, my attacker's machine is it is what's it called? It is .103. That is the attacker's machine. Why the victim machine? That's what we are trying to discover, right? That's what we are trying to discover. Okay, so so in a real life scenario, right? Once you are able to discover, you leave this to run for a while for it to discover the list of IP address. Then you can do an Nmap, right? You can do an Nmap to scan for your targets. So because of time, this is the IP address of my victim, right? Which is .104. So I'm going to stop this. Then I'm going to run an Nmap scan, right? I'm going to run an Nmap scan. So there are different Nmap scans I will run, but the first one that I want to run is the one that, so for those of us that have not used Nmap before, the first thing to do is like I said, you don't need to cram these things. You just need to know how to sort for this information. Now, if you run Nmap on its own, you will see that it will come out and it will give you indication of the kind of flags or the list of flags that you can make use of. You can see for target specific, these are the list of flags you can make use of. For host discovery, you want to discover hosts, like I was telling you the other time, using a ping sweep. You can see if you want to do a ping sweep, you can use -pn, treat all hosts as online. So it will try and do just a ping scanning. You understand? But if you want to disable scanning, you use SN. It will disable port scanning. There are some networks that don't allow port scanning. So, but it doesn't mean that if you are not able to carry out port scanning, then you cannot do like a vulnerability assessment. For using Nmap comes with you can use Nmap for different purposes. You can say, okay, I don't want to even do a port scanning. Maybe you already know about the port. Or what you want to do is just vulnerability assessment. You can use Nmap for that. So at this point, you can use the -SN to disable port scanning, right? So there are also like different flags that you can use, or honestly, different flags that you can use. If you want to do a TCP scan, you use S and dash small letter S, capital letter S to do a TCP scan. If you want to do a UDP scan, you use dash small letter S and U means UDP scan, right? So this is SS means TCP scan, right? So you can do an acknowledgement scan because TCP has a three-way handshake: sync, ACK, and acknowledgement. So you don't want to do like a sync request scanning. You want to do an acknowledgement scanning. You can use that to do an acknowledgement scanning, right? So there are a lot of flags over here. You can see if we scroll down, we can see we can also do, what is it called? You can see service and version detection. That is what I'm trying to use, SV, right? To probe open ports and determine the service and service information. So this is the first thing that I expect as an attacker. This is what you want to do because you want to look out for open ports and the service is running on those ports, right? Then, like I told you guys, Nmap can also be used for carrying out script scanning. It will scan, it will do like a vulnerability assessment scan using certain scripts. Nmap has a lot of scripts. I will show you the folder, guys, to see the whole lot of script. You can also do OS detection scan. But you see, because these flags are so much, right? I'll show you guys the ones that I recommend so that you don't get overwhelmed. So let's see. And a good thing is that they even gave us an example. Now you can see this -A, guys. You can see -A. -V means verbose. Give me a robust output. -A means why is very smart to use -A here, because see, if you do both OS detection scan, version scanning, script scanning, and trace routes. So instead of using those flags one by one, all you need to use is -A. So let's say -A means all, to do OS detection scanning at the same time as version scanning, that is what it will do. So if you want to store your results, you don't just want your result to come out on the screen. You want to store it, So as based on recommendation, it's very important that you should be able to store your results so that you can refer to them later on, or you can use that result to create your report, and share it with your team. So you can use -ON. It will output the result of the scan into a file so that you can save it, right? So let's demonstrate what we are going to do now. So let me clear the screen. So now I'm doing an Nmap scan, right? I'm using -SV. Then that's what I'm going to use for now. Then I'm going to use -T4. Okay, I didn't talk about T. T means timing. So it ranged from 0 to 5. So if you want to increase the speed of your scan, so it talks, that T means it indicates how fast you want your scan to run, because the more speed you indicate, it will, how do I put it? The more speed you indicate, it's going to create a noise. It's going to alert your victim, because you are not running, ideally you should run your scan in a stealthy mode, so that you are trying to ensure that your victim does not know that you are running the scan. So if you are running it within a network that have IDS, that is intrusion detection system or intrusion prevention system, they are going to detect that a scan is running, very fast. But if you want to bypass that, what's it called, security control, that is the IDS and the IPS, you can run your scan using maybe -1, T1, or -2, right? So, but because this is my local network, I'm going to use -4 so that we don't waste much time. Then I'm going to indicate, what's it called? I'm going to indicate my, IP address, right? So my IP address is 192.168.a.104, right? That we talked about. Then also I'm going to save it in a file. So I'm going to do this normal output. So O means output, N means normal. So I'm going to say, okay, so this is what I want to do, guys. Because look at, we are logged in as root, but I want the scan to be on the desktop, so I can do a change directory to my desktop. If I do ls, you can see that these are list of folders. So I want to do a change directory to my desktop so that I'll run the scan from my desktop. All right. Yeah, so I'll run the scan from my desktop. So it will be easy for me to find. So right now I'm going to run the Nmap once again. Then I'm going, like I said, I'm going to do the -SV, which is for version scanning, right? Then I said I'm going to do the T4-T4, right? Please, if you don't understand, let me know. Then I'm going to indicate my IP address 192.168.a.104, right? Then I'm going to output it in a file. So I can call it Nmap scan report ports, Nmap scan report 1.txt, right? So you guys can see I'm going to run these against the victim machine to scan. Then let me show you guys the other things why the scan is running. Okay, so like I said to you guys, so if I want to show you the directory where we have all the scripts for Nmap. So currently you can see I'm on the current directory where I am is /root. This is the directory where I am. So I want to leave -root directory. So if you want to leave a directory, you do cd, then you do ... right? You do ... .. So it will take you, then you can see do list. You can see now that I'm no more in the root directory. I've taken a step away from the root directory, right? To go to now directory I am is this is the main directory, / is the main directory. That's a primary directory. So every Linux operating system starts with the /, then it now branches off to other directory. So you can see these are the system directories that we talked about earlier. Now I want to show you guys where, don't forget, I told you guys that during the, I told you guys that on this, to see all the pre-installed application, right? You'll find them on the where, on the user, this directory. USR, user directory. So that's where we are going. You can see we have the user directory here.
Yes, right? I'm getting the same directory with you on my own Kali. How come?
Yeah, it's the same. They are all pre-installed directory. For every Kali Linux operating system, these directories are a must. It's a must. it's not users that create those directories. They are system-based directory. They contains all, like I explained to you guys, specific commands, specific binaries, right? So you will see that was why I was telling you that it is called architecture. And architecture is something that is the same across board, the same. But you can now you can go on to create your own directory. Like now, you can see that I want to, for example, if I want to create a new directory here, I can create a directory. So to create a directory, there's a command called mk dir called make directory, right? I can create a directory here called, let's say, Nelson, right? You can see, so if I do ls again to list all what is there, you can see, is there Nelson? You can see Nelson, right? If you check yours, of course, you won't see Nelson there, right? So that is what you can go on to create new directories, but there are default directories that comes with the Linux. Those are the ones you are seeing on your own part too. Do you understand? Should I go
on? Go on. Thank you.
All right, guys. So let me clear the screen so that you can see my screen very well. All right, so we did the ls. They want to change directory to what? To USR. USR. You get? So once you type USR.
Sorry, Nelson, I tried creating my own new directory and it's telling me create directory permission denied.
What create directory? Did you log in as what did you log in as? Kali?
Kali, yes.
Yeah, okay, so this is it again. I'm logged in as root. The Kali user that you are logged in as, right, has limited privilege. Is not an administrative user, right? So just like in C, just like if you go to Windows, for example, if you go to Windows, right, Windows C drive, Windows, what's that, system 32, yeah, system 32. That is where we have most of the Windows commands, like pre-built Windows commands. Now, if you are created with a non-admin user on Windows, you can't copy or install anything from here. It will tell you that you don't have privilege. That's why you see that I'm logged in as root. I'm logged in as root. You can see the root account, showing that root, so that it will be easy for me to do so many of the operations. But if you want to create the file now with that command, you can start with sudo, right? Then make directory. So you are saying that create a directory with the root privilege. Can you do sudo make directory, then put the name of the file that you want to create?
Nelson, how can I log in as root? Because I've been using sudo for a while now.
Okay, for a while. Okay, so that's so that was why I shared that slide. So what you would do is this: you would just follow. You would do sudo. You have to change the password because you don't know the password, right? Do sudo pass wd. So when you do sudo pass wd, it will ask you for the new password. Then you put in the new password for your root. It will ask you for the password 2 times. Once you do that, then you restart your system, your Kali, then log in with the root password. So that was why if you see the slide, here's that first slide that I was talking about. Can you see this part? Did you see this part? This part, update root account.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you do sudo password, but the password is not the complete password. It's pass then wd. Then it will ask you for your password, new password 2 times. It's asking for the password that you want to give to your root account. So once you enter the password, it will tell you that it's update is successful. Then you can restart, then log in with that root. So it will be root, then the new password. You understand now?
Thanks.
All right. So let's go back to where. Is there any question, guys? All right, guys. So I'm taking this very slow so that it's very easy for everyone to, so that we can go along, because there's no need rushing and you guys don't understand. So it's important that every one of us understand exactly what we are doing, right? That's why I'm taking it this very, very slow. Okay, so again, I said I want to show you guys something before we check our Nmap result. Yeah, so we are logged in. You can see that we change directory to USR, right? Which is the folder that contains, don't forget, I told this is the folder that contains all the pre-installed tools, right? All these tools. So to show you guys something. So if I do ls, then I do change directory again. This time I want to go to share, then I'll put share, share. You can see now that I'm no longer just in the user, I'm now in the user/share folder. Anything that you see on blue, I don't know if it's the same for every one of you, it shows that it is a directory, right? So now I'll do ls again to see what is, you can see there's so many information here. These are all the packages and applications that are installed on Kali. Now, but we want to go to Nmap, right? So I'll do change directory. If we change directory Nmap, if you try and scroll manually, you will see you can see Nmap here, right? That's where I'm going to. That's why I'm changing directory to Nmap. Then if you change directory, then you do ls. You can see that now I'm under Nmap, right? Now I want to clear my screen so that it will be easy for you guys. Oh, sorry. Okay, so if I do print working directory, you can see that I'm in the user share Nmap folder, right? If I do ls again, list what is within Nmap, you can see these are the things that I have within Nmap, right? Now I want to take, you can see there's a folder called scripts. So Nmap has a lot of default scripts in that you can use to scan your assets. You know, so it goes beyond just checking if this, like I told you guys, it goes beyond checking if to scan for open ports and services. So if I do change directory to scripts. So now guys, there's a trick. Whenever you type maybe the short form of where you are going to SC, you can click your tab will help you to complete it. If that is unique within that space, then you can see now that I'm within the script folder, right? Then let me do ls again to see what is within the script folder. You can see there are so many. These are scripts that Nmap can use to scan an asset and give you information if it's vulnerable, for example, vulnerable or not, to check if Apache is vulnerable. So they keep updating it, you know, sometimes monthly, sometimes by monthly, like, you know, it all depends. So I want to show you, because there are so many scripts, I want to just show you some of them. So if you want to see, you want to filter for just a few scripts. Let's say I want to filter for any scripts that is related to SMB. Since we are going to do an SMB enumeration, I can do ls, then I'll do a pipe. Now, a pipe, this pipe is a way to say, okay, this pipe, that's the pipe you can see now. It's a way to say, okay, lists, do a listing, then the result of the listing, send it to another command to execute. Now, I want to execute 2 commands, but the first command I have to execute. Then the pipe will say, okay, give me the output of what you've done. Let me send it to the next command to run, right? So now I'm doing ls, and I want to grep for only scripts that has to do with SMB. So I'll do grep. Grep is another command that will help you. It's like filtering. You are filtering through a list of items to say, okay, just give me only this specific item. Just like searching, you are searching and filtering for a specific string. So I'm just going to say SMB. So if I do SMB now, you can see that these are all the scripts, but now I'm only seeing SMB scripts. Can you guys see? What I did was ls, pipe command, then grep. The grep is another Kali command that is used to look for only specific string. So you can see it's showing me only string that starts with what? SMB. So I can use this to look at, oh, okay, these are the Nmap has a script to search for SMB for me to use to scan. I'll show you how to use the script. Very simple. Let's take it a step at a time. So now, okay, let's go back to look at our scan results, guys. Oh, guys, so can you see that we have I noticed that some people that submitted their assignments, they did Nmap scanning, right? But their Nmap scanning did not contain versions, right? Did not contain the version. So the question is, if you scan for open ports, right, we can see these are the list of ports. You can see the state issuing open. We can see the services running on those ports, right? Now we have to, another very important information is the version, because it is the version that will show you, that you will use to go and search to see if that particular service is vulnerable or not, or maybe the client has updated to the latest version. I don't know if you get my point, guys. You get my point. So if I'm just seeing only FTP, how do I know it's running FTP?
Please, can you go back with what you said now? I didn't get that, please.
Okay, so this is what I said, right? I said the first thing, if you are running an Nmap scan, make sure you run, do a -sv, right? Do a -sv, then you can either do a -a, but I like starting with this. I'll do a -a later to see everything, but I like starting with this. Why? Because it will give me information about the services that are running on those ports that are open. These are the list of ports that are open. But most importantly, it will also give me the version of the services. Look at this. This is FTP. This is the version of FTP that is running. So if it's a company, let me take it this way now. If it's a company website, right, or a company, an enterprise network, if you do a scanning and you find this version of FTP running, what do you need to do as an FTP hacker? You will copy this version, right? You copy it, go to Google and check if it is vulnerable. Copy it and paste it, right? You can see it is already bringing some option showing that it has some sort of vulnerability. So you can check, you can put it with exploit to check if there's any exploit. You can see that there's an exploit available for it, right? But if you are just checking, if you are not scanning for the version and you just look at FTP, you just, oh, FTP is running on port 21. If you now do FTP exploit, how do you know which one the victim is running so that you can exploit it? Because there might be so many exploits on FTP. So you need to be specific. That's why you need to scan for the version of the port of the services that are running on those ports. Do you guys understand?
It's clear. Thank you.
All right. So you can see we have VS FTP 234 running. We have Apache running on port 80. You can see we have Samba. You know, I told you guys what Samba is. Samba is like SMB, right? SMB is used on Windows. Samba is used on what? Linux for file sharing. You can see Samba is running on port 139, port 445. Sorry, 445. CCP port 445. You can see 512, 513, 514. This
sorry.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
What's the clear difference between Apache and web server? Sorry.
Okay, so Apache is an application that runs on a web server. So it's like Java running on a Java application. If you have an application that is created with Java, right? Java is the language. Apache is like a service. Apache is a service that is used for hosting a web application. So it's like, and Apache works with database. So you can check it out, but most of what I have seen as Apache is a service. It's a service that is used to launch a web application. Most web applications have other services within them, and Apache is one of them. And most of the time, Apache runs on port 80, you know, so that it is like the backbone or the core of the web service. It's like, for example, let me give you an example. You can't have a database application without a database itself that is hosting that database application that is running those services. There must be a MS SQL or MySQL or Oracle service that is running, that is making sure that that database application is working. Same to Apache. So Apache is a service that runs most of the time on port 80 to host application, you know, to support web applications.
It's all right. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I can see on your screen.
What's the name, sir?
Daniel.
Okay, Daniel. Okay.
So the port 513 is actually you're showing a version on yours, but on mine it's coming out blank. Is there a reason for that?
Did you use what did you use? Did you use the same command that I'm running with?
Yeah, I have practically the same thing you have on my screen, except for that port 513.
Okay. Port what?
513.
513. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
513 is not showing any. What's it? It's showing blank on your.
Nothing. Yeah, blank. Yeah.
Wow.
So I just wondering, is there any implication?
And I think we are using the same. What's the version? Which did you just install your Kali now, right?
Yeah.
Did you update it? Did you run update? Did you run this command?
I don't think I did.
Okay, so once you install your Kali, there's a command called update. What it does, because your Kali has pre-installed packages, right? But those packages are updated over time. You need to now update them. So sudo, this is sudo. Yeah, app. Yeah, this is it. App gets. So this, you need to most of the time run it like once in a month. Have you seen this command that I just typed?
Yes.
So app-get means is a way for, is a command to download like widgets, or call, right? So app-get is a way to update, automatically update. So you are saying Kali should update and upgrade. So if you update some of those commands that it has, right, it will update some of those packages that it has to the latest version. So if maybe after this class you can do this, but trust me, you need to have data, because it can take about maybe 100 MB to update some of those commands. So you need to have data to run this so that it will update to the latest version of packages that are installed on your Kali. Right.
Okay.
So this might be one of the reasons. So do this first and run it again. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So guys, these are the various versions of services that are open, right? So don't forget this phase that we are is scanning and enumeration. So there are a lot of things that we need to take, that we might need to start doing a step at a time before we start exploiting. Now, the next thing I want to do, is there any question at this time? Is there any question here? So I've explained to you guys that these are the list of ports, these are the list of versions running on them. So we have to do our own personal research on each of these services to see which of them is exploitable, and which of them can we exploit with our resources. Also, apart from that, you can also see that we have information that you can see the name of the host is what metasploitable. So Nmap does not just do port scanning, but it also do like an SMB scan. So it is from this port SMB 445.139 it is able to scan and tell us the name of the host file, which is metasploitable. It's and it's telling us that the domain is the local domain. You understand, right? So it's also telling us that it's a Unix operating system. Right. So, but we need to do a more robust scan. That is where we will now come to do. Sorry. Let me clear my screen. I want to copy this out. So, guys, it's very important that once you do a scan, make sure you copy them out, or save them somewhere, because you might need them later. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a snap it out and save it somewhere, because it's going to be helpful for us. Oh, come on. Sorry, screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to do a to snap this. It's very important that you snap because these are part of the things that will form your reporting. Okay, so I want to save it on a document, right? Okay, so I'm just going to save it. Okay, so now I'm going to clear the screen so that I can run that command with Nmap. So now we are going to, like I told you guys, we are going to run Nmap with, apart from using the -sv, you can run it with -a, right? -a, then T4 so that it will run is at a normal speed, then the IP address. I think I'll just do this, then update. So let me put this as 2, then let me just change this to -a, capital A. So this will do OS detection scan, like we saw. It will do the version scan, then it will also do what's it called? Yeah, OS detection, version scan, then trace routes. So I'm saving it. You can see that I update my the output file. Then I'm going to run it. So because of time, I'm going to also initiate another Nmap scan, but this time around, it's going to be a vulnerability scan on what's it called, on the target. So I want to do this, change directory to the desktop. Yeah. So currently I'm on the desktop, and I want to run another Nmap scan, but this time around, like I said, it's going to be a vulnerability-based scan. You can use Nmap to run a vulnerability-based scan on the discovered application or services that are running on that victim. So to run a vulnerability-based scan, you do -script. So then vuln, then the IP address. I will explain to you why I'm using vuln. 168.8.1.4, right? So this will run. I think we have a path very open. So you can see, guys, that what Nmap will do. To show you what's the script that is currently using LX, the pipe. I want to grip for vuln. You can see, guys, these are the list. So what I'm telling Nmap to do with that previous script is that it should use this script. These are the list of vulnerability. These are the list of vulnerability scripts that Nmap has that it will use to scan against a particular asset or a particular IP or target, as the case may be. So that is what Nmap is trying to do. It will run that scan, using sorry, I need to close this. I think we open, yeah, this vuln, right? So it's going to use all those scripts that we just listed to access this particular IP address and bring out the results. It's going to take time. Yeah, it's going to take some time to print out, but it will show you, for example, is FTP vulnerable? It will show you the state of the vulnerability, that, oh, this particular service running is vulnerable. This one is not vulnerable. So that will help you scale down the application that you want to, exploit. So Nmap will give you that visibility. So, okay, this list of services are not vulnerable. So you don't even bother yourself checking on Google to see whether you can exploit them. You will just go focus your attention on the list, on the ones that are vulnerable, right? So let's see, do we have our A record out? Okay, this is the scanning. Okay, you can see it's currently on 96%. So guys, just give me about for this class, I don't know, this is already 6, so we can spend another 20 minutes or 15 minutes to just go through this phase, then we can continue next week. I don't know, do we have 20 minutes or 15 minutes? Can you guys spare that amount of time?
Yes, I want to continue.
Okay, please, if you know you can spare, so that we can just continue, guys. Okay, so guys, you can see that
please continue.
Okay, so you can see we have, do you see that this is more elaborate than the one we used? Because now we are using -A, right, to do an 2 minutes. Let me just plug on my system. Just give me about 2 minutes. Okay, guys, can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, you can.
All right. Okay, so you can see now that we have an elaborate scan, right? You can see, first of all, see port 21. It's still showing us the details we've seen before, but now it's showing us a more clearing details. It's telling us that anonymous FTP login allowed. Can you see that, guys? It's saying that anonymous FTP is allowed via port 21, right? So that is something you want to also take note, because in an enterprise environment, anonymous login should not be allowed. What that means is that any users can log into that system, probably with no password or a default password. That's what anonymous. Then anonymous means that the user too does not have an identity. So if the user is anonymous, you can't say this is John or Daniel that have logged in, right? It's a default account, but most of the time it should be disabled, right? So that is one of the things we want to scan for. Also, if we scroll down to see other ports that are open, we can see that we have, what's it called, port 22 running on SSH port 22. You can see the version, you can see Telnet and SMTP port, right? Then let's scroll down to see what else we have. Let's scroll down. I'm just trying to go through some of the important information that we should pay attention to, right? We can also see that we have, what's it called? Let me scroll down. Okay, port 80 is open. We already take note of this this version, because we might also need to research if this Apache version is exploitable, right? We can see port 139, 445 we talked about, 512, 513, 514. These they call them remote login port. Now, just like RDP is to Windows, Linux-based operating system has their own form of RDP. those is called remote logging or arrow logging. That arrow logging runs on 3 ports, ports 512, 513, and 514. Now, what it means that a client can, just like RDP, a client can remotely log in. So it's showing that these 3 ports are open. It's showing that we can remotely log into the victim machine. So in an ideal environment, this port should not be open except within the network. So if you are scanning an external facing asset and this port is open, it's a very big flag. It's very big. It's a huge vulnerability there. So we are also going to exploit that. These are some of the things that we are noticing. Then we can see that we have Java RNI running also on ports 1099, right? We are going to also see how to exploit that. We also see that FTP is also running on ports 121, right? Don't forget the scan that we did, guys. The kind of scanning that we are doing right now is based on the most common ports. What's it called? The common known ports. That is from 1 to 1024. Right? No, sorry, we are doing the first 10,000 ports. That is what is being scanned. 1 to 10,000 ports. But don't forget that we have ports that are beyond 10,000. We have ports that the largest number of ports is 65535. So there might be other open ports that are beyond 10,000. So, but because of our time, I'm just trying to limit our scope to the first 10,000 ports, because Nmap by default does the scanning within the first 10,000 ports, right? So if we scroll down, we can see other ports that are open. We can see that we have port 5432, which is for PostgreSQL. This is a database commonly used by Metasploit framework. Metasploit framework on Kali uses PostgreSQL database, right? You can see that it is open. It's currently running on that victim's machine, right? Then we also have other ports down the line, right? Port 881. So we are going to try and look out how to exploit some of them that are easy for us to exploit within our time frame. Now we have, apart from that, you can see that we have an SMB scan that was done, right? Via port 445 and 139 to look that will give us the information about the computer name, the domain, right? The fully qualified domain name. These are some of the information too that we might need to take note of, right? Because we might need to use some exploits that will require us to know the host name of the assets or the victim we are trying to exploit. So let's go ahead to see what else we can do with from our scanning. Okay. So first of what I noticed, guys, is the FTP, right? FTP anonymous login is running, but let me see. Okay. Okay, so do we have the, we were running, okay, so yeah. So we were running 2 Nmap scan. One was running using the A flag, then the other one was running where we were running the vulnerability assessment scan, right? Using the Nmap script. You can see, guys, did you see what I'm showing you now? You see port 21 for FTP. You can see showing that it is vulnerable, right? This particular version of FTP that is running, VS FTPD, is showing the state, is showing that it is vulnerable and it is exploitable. That is the use of running this Nmap script. This script vulnerability scan. It will show you, give you, an idea about some version of services that are exploitable, right? Now, if we scroll down, you can see, if we scroll down to check, we'll see the vulnerability state of some other services that are running. SMTP is showing that it's not vulnerable. So we don't need to waste our time going to look for SMTP version that is running because it is not vulnerable. We have to focus our energy on the things that we can exploit, right? Now, first of all, what I want to show you guys is the first thing that we saw is FTP, right? So this also should be copied and put on your reports, because it should really go a long way to show some of those services, you know, that are vulnerable or that are not vulnerable. You can see another one, port 5432, running the database, the PostgreSQL database, showing that the state is vulnerable, right? Because of the version of that, the version of the database that is currently running on that victim machine, right? Hello? Is anybody saying something? Is there any question? Are you guys hearing me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear
you. Okay. So guys, because now since we've seen that FTP is exploitable, let's go with FTP first, right? Let's go with FTP. So I'm going to open another terminal. So that's now FTP, right? 192.168.8.what? 104. Is asking us for the name, the username, right? So I'm going to, don't forget, we run an Nmap scan that shows that anonymous user is allowed. So I'm going to put anonymous. Then I'm just going to click enter, no password. Did you see that currently I've been able to do an FTP into that user, that victim? So I've been able to do an FTP. So if I do, but I might not have permission to create or do anything, but currently I've been able to do FTP using anonymous accounts into that users. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if there's certain command I can run. Okay, just check this. What about directory? Can I list directory? So with anonymous user account, you have very, very limited privilege, but it's showing us that we can do an FTP with anonymous user accounts, right, onto that victim machine, which is .104. That's the first thing that we saw. And what does this imply? This implies that a user, an attacker, can create a script and use FTP with anonymous accounts and to upload it to the victim machine. That is what it implies. So a user can send malicious file via FTP using anonymous account, but it might also now need to go and escalate privilege so that you can run it, right? Because from what I can see, we can't do much. We are not seeing much from this account. It cannot lead us to, it just only have access to this part. Can I see running services? Some of these commands are not even enabled via the FTP. So this is one thing that we can check. Let's go and see other ways in which you can enumerate the victim machine, right? So don't forget, so we've been able to use Nmap. Then let's go and check some other things like how many users are logged in. Can we enumerate the users' accounts that are logged in into that victim machine? So I'm going to exit and then clear the screen. Okay, so one of the things we are going to start doing is to enumerate using certain commands. Don't forget, we note that SMB is open, right? So we can enumerate SMB using Nmap and other tools. Some of the other tools that we can use to enumerate SMB is called MBT scan. There's a tool called MBT scan. It will help us to show, it will show you, for example, the host name and the IP addresses of the victim machine. It will help you get information about the host name running if you don't know it. So I'll put MBT scan, then the IP address. But if you don't know how to use it, you want to check how it works, just type MBT scan and check. You want to see the flags, how you can use it, right? You can see the different flags showing how we can make use of MBT scan. So -H prints human readable name service. So if you want to specify a range of IP address or a file name, -F for the file name that you want to. You can see this is giving us an example of how to use MBT scan. So if you want to do like a scan for a range of IP address within a subnet, you can do that. But because of our time, we are doing for a specific IP address. So I'm just going to run MBT scan for that asset 192.168.8.104. You can see MBT scan is telling us that this is our IP address. This is our host name, right? It's telling us the MAC address. It's not giving us any information on the MAC address, right? It's just giving us information about the user, the metasploitable, and the what's it called? The IP address, giving us basically what our IP address is. Now let's take a look at using Nmap to do like an SMB enumeration. Since port 139 and 445 is open. So we have to go change directory to the Nmap script part. So we are going to do this. Don't forget where it is. It is on user share, I think here. Share, that is where we went through the other time. Then we went to Nmap. So then script, right? So we show the list of scripts that are available. But now let me clear the screen. I want to do what's it called? A vulnerability scanning based on SMB. So what I'll do is I'll do a list so that I will show you all the SMB scripts that we have. So like I showed you earlier, SMB, right? So these are the SMB scripts that we can use. So what does this mean? This means that we can run SMB scripts to look for users, the list of users, the list of shared folders on that particular system. Because if you see the shared folder, it can give you a visibility or an insight or an indication of any sensitive information that is stored in the share. If we do this in an enterprise network, you'll be so amazed the kind of information we can see using some of these scripts. So first thing first, let's run let's enumerate for the list of users on that target IP address. So if you can just try and you can copy this so that it's easy. Then I'm going to clear. Then I'll do Nmap, right? Dash scripts. Because this is scripts, then you can do these scripts. Then I'm going to copy and paste what I copied out. Then the IP address, the targeted IP address, 168.8.104. Oh, sorry, .104. That's right. Oh, my script is wrong. Script, right there. So you can see guys, it's showing us the list of users. First of all, it did a scan of all the services running on that victim machine. Secondly, then it's showing us the list of users. You can see these are the list of users. Now we have a user name called backup. So the list of users are not just users that are logging in. Like I told you guys, there are other users' accounts that belongs to application system database within that particular operating system, victim net endpoint. So we have a user called Beam. We have another user called Demon. We have another user called. There are different users, but I want you to take note of something. It's showing some of them as some flag as account disabled, right? So you can see some of them as account disabled. Currently, you can see that this is the user that we are logged in as, MSF admin, right? Showing as normal user, MSF admin. You can see we also have a user for MySQL on this victim machine. So there's a user named MySQL, but the user account is for a database. There's a user called Postgres, but it's for the Postgres database. So this this Nmap script will list all the users, and we have to take note. We can even see that we have a user called root, right? We have a user called root. Now, what can we do with all this, guys? I'm going to show you the last exploit before we close this class so that we continue. Now, I told you guys that there are 3 from our Nmap scan. Okay, let me show you. Because we did this. Okay, so what we did now, guys, was that we ran an Nmap scan to enumerate for users. Then how can we enumerate for shares directory? Don't forget, we also have another script. We also have another. So let me just divide the screen into 2. All right, so I'll just come in here. Change directory to /user share nmap then script. Map script. Okay, so now, but this time around, we want to. So let me grep again to show you guys SMB, right? This time around, we want to use the share. So if you are doing yours, it might be a good practice to copy this in and put it in a notepad so that you don't need to be looking for it every time. So, but now we want to do another Nmap. We want to run another Nmap, but this time around we are looking for shared directories and folder that are open on the victim machine. So Nmap, there's a script, right? Script, yeah. Then what we copied, let me paste it. Then don't forget the IP address, right? So then click enter. So this is enumerating, this side is enumerating the list of user. This is showing us the list of share. So you can see that there's a share folder admin, right? There's a share folder called admin, but you can see that anonymous access is not allowed, right? You can see these are the list of share folders. So do we have read-write access? I think we have read-write access to a particular share, which you can see. Anonymous access, anonymous have access, and you have read-write access to this particular this share directory. We have admin share, but we don't have access to it, right? So okay, so we just have access to the temp folder, right? Then we have access to the IPC shared folder, right? Okay, so these are some of the information that we might need to enumerate. Okay, so let me show you one thing before I'm using past the time. Okay, before we go, I want to show you something, guys. We enumerated that there's a list of services, right? And some of them that I told you about is on port 512, 513, and 514. And I told you that these ports they're like RDP ports. RDP in Windows is on port 389, right? But for Linux, the RDP port is these 3 ports: 512, 513, and 514. Since they are open, let's see that let's see if we're able to log in, if we can log in with it, right? If we can log in with that account. So what do we do, guys? Let me see. And there's something that I want to say, that sometimes people normally they just overlook that there are some network that can use username and password as root or admin. Honestly, these things are some of the things that I see out there on some network. People still use default accounts, you know, from vendor systems, from vendors application or solutions that they buy. They still use default account. So we are going to test that. So let me just open another terminal so that I don't get confused. Okay, so there's this, like I told you guys, let me show you on Google. R login service. Okay, so the R login service, like I said, is basically used to have remote access, right, on a system, just like SSH. But let's see the port. Port. You can see on port 513, 514, and what's it called? Okay, so let's see. I just want to show you guys so that you don't just think that you can see port 512, 513, 514. You can use it to test if it's going to work, right? So this is how to use it. Our login -L is the user, then you put in the IP address, the target IP address. That's what we are going to do. So don't forget we enumerated for a list of users here, right? We enumerated for a list of users. These are the list of users that we have. Sorry, we did, sorry, these are the list of users that we enumerated. We saw that we have roots, right? We saw that we have MSF admin. These are the list of users that we have on the victim machine. So now let's see if we can use those users' accounts to remotely access, since 512, 513, and 514 is open, right? So just like we saw arrow login, right? Then we can do -L. So if you want to see all the flags, look at all the flags, right? -L means, where is -L? Small letter L. Okay. Okay, yeah. You can see small letter L login name, right? Right. So that's what we are going to do. Arrow login. IN. Then -L. Then the login name. We have, I'm going to try roots. Let me try roots. Then the IP address, target IP address, 192.168.8.104, right? Oh, sorry, I put a comma there instead of dot. So it's asking me for password, right? So I'm just going to try the default password, which is root, like just try, let's see, root. Guys, you can see that I tried a default password. This shows that default password is not disabled, is enabled on that. You can see that we are logging now as Metasploitable. So if I do PWD, you can see that we are logged in, we are remotely access exploiting that port that is open on Metasploitable with root account, right? Now, if I do UID, oh, sorry, UID, sorry, let's see who should give us the information. You can see showing us that we are logged in as root, right? W should tell us who we are logged in at as root account. So is there any folder? You can see that there's a desktop folder. So let's see if we can change directly to that desktop folder, guys. We are logged in, guys. So can we make a file? Yeah, we can. Let's see if we can create a file using touch command on that remote system. So I'm going to create a file called let's see, let me say Daniel, right? Daniel.txt. So now we have Daniel.txt. Now let's go to the what's it called? Exploitable, right? So if I do switch to root account, right? You can see if I do ls, now I change directory to okay. Okay, so which user account? I think we are logged in as I want to show that the Daniel file that we created. Okay, desktop. So let's see, how do we get to desktop on the Metasploitable? Sorry. Let's see. Desktop should be in the root directory. Change directory to roots. Let's. Okay, so we have desktop here, guys. This is on the victim machine. I just want to confirm that the file we created as Daniel is showing, right? So you can see that we created a file. Can you see Daniel on the screen, guys? We created a file from this victim machine called Daniel, and you can see it here.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, so what this means that we are able to exploit these three ports, the arrow login ports, which is 512, 513, 514, which is, like I said, is an RDP port. What it means that you can remotely access a particular system. Now, we tried using, because one thing about ethical hacking is that, like I said, you don't overlook the little things. Don't think that it's an enterprise. They won't be using default accounts. A lot of companies still use default account, right? Let me show you default vendor default account. A lot of, so as an attacker, one of the things that you should do is that you should also try using default password to test, because you might just be very lucky to see access what's it called, access the resources. So you can see, I'm just trying to show you guys a list of, just a minute, please, guys. Hello? Sorry guys, sorry for taking your time. Okay, so this is what I just wanted to show you. You can see these are solutions, different vendors all over the world, and they have defaults. You can go there to, for example, check the default username. This should be the starting point to see, take the username, default username and password, and start using and test. You get, you might just be surprised that most of these passwords are not disabled on enterprise. That is what we've just been able to see, that okay, on this asset, on this particular endpoint, even though remote login is enabled, it's just like RDP having username and password as admin, right? So that is what we've just been able to test. Even now, if we exit and try exit, let's say we exit now and try and do it again, don't forget we found not just root, we also found another user account called MSF, right? MSF admin, right? So if we do MSF admin and try to remotely access, what do we get? Now I'm putting MSF admin again as password. MSF admin. You can see that we can see even login as MSF admin, right? So this is a way to, now it's just showing that we're able to exploit that particular port to gain remote access using default credential. So in our next class, what we'll be looking at how we can exploit those other services, like the Java services running on 10.94, I think. What's it called? The first FTP service running, let me see, let's just check through. I think we have, okay, yeah. So we are going to be looking at how we can exploit some of these services that are running FTP. Then we have on port 1099. You can see. Then we can look at Apache, PostgreSQL. What is it called? MySQL too. MySQL, how we can exploit it to gain remote access. So what we are just trying to teach is how the various ethical hacking phases that a normal hacker will go through, from information discovery, to scanning, to enumeration, then to look at what ports are exploitable, then using those ports to remotely gain access to victim machines. That is basically how you exploit. You can see that we're able to create a file called Daniel. Now we can also create a file to establish backdoor, so that over time, or we can even create a user account. We can create a new user account from our Kali machine. Because of time, I won't be going, maybe we'll continue from next class to see how we can create user accounts and use those user accounts to log into the victim machine, and gain remote access, just like we did, with the accounts that are already configured on that victim machine. So at this point, is there any question, guys? I'm so sorry that I've taken your time again. So it was because, we are trying to talk initially before the class starts to align with every one of us, our challenge. That's why we take this much time. So I don't know, is there any challenge? Is there anything you didn't understand that you want me to just, we'll discuss about?
Mr. Nelson.
Yeah.
Please, this is Benedicta. Please, how can we access the recording of this particular class?
I think it's on. It's live on YouTube. So once it's done, Joseph will upload it. Joseph will upload it and make it public so that it will be accessible.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So is there? Do you have Adigbola? Do you have?
Yes, my question is this.
All right.
I'm a bit confused on when to navigate to a particular say command. Take for example, I noticed when you were writing some commands, when you were writing the script, you went to the login as user first. User, then Nmap, then script before you run your command. Does it mean that?
Okay.
Does it mean that
so
if I want to run that script command,
yeah,
I want to run that script command, I can't run it directly from my root without going to that directory.
All right, you can, right? You can. So the difference is that yeah, I get it. Yeah. Okay. So that question, let me answer that question. So to use, the script is like a file. The list of scripts, they're like files, right? And they are located in they are like files, and they are located in what's it called? They are located in a particular folder, right? So if you want to use it from any command, there are two ways. Is either you come to this directory, right, to use it, or when you want to use it, you have to specify the directory on your command. For example, if you want to use, I think which of them did we use now? I think we used okay. So let's say we want to run an Nmap scan, and we do as script scan. There are scripts, right? Now you have to specify that folder like this. Then put in the SMB dash. I think just a minute. Let me look at the one that we used. Okay. Yeah. So I think, let me see. What we did was, I want to pick one of the scripts. I want to show you something. ls web SME. Okay, so I want to pick one of these scripts. So to use any of these scripts, there are two ways. You can either log in directly to this particular part, right? So that you can use, because they are files, they belong to a particular part. If you go and specify them from the example, maybe your desktop or any place, any other parts where you are, you have to make sure you specify the part where that file is, before you use it. That's my point. Because if you don't specify it, the Nmap script will not be able to find it and use it. So you have to specify it this way, right? Then you have to now put your IP address, right, that you want to scan against. That's 8.104. You can see the same too. You have to specify this way. You can see that I'm still getting the same result, but this time around, I'm running it from my root folder. I'm not changing directory. So you have to know exactly the part where it is. You understand? So you can either run it this way from any, you can run this command this way from any part on your system. You can run it anyway, even if you go to your desktop. Now, if I go to my desktop and do the same thing, it will still show me. So if I go to desktop, right, and do the same thing, it will still, and you run it, it's going to give you the same result. I don't know if you get my point. I'm just trying to rush so that I don't waste more time. I don't spend more than this. Is there any other question, guys? Is there any other question, guys? So that we can call it a day. Joseph, is Joseph on this call?
So sorry, the next class, will it be a beginning class for the advanced stage or still at the beginner's stage?
Oh, sorry, we've already started. This is an advanced class already. So I don't understand when you mean the advanced stage. Is there any other, when you say advanced, I don't understand.
I think I was referring to Joseph. If he's on the line, he could understand what I'm saying based on his last write-up on the platform.
Oh, okay. Joseph, are you on this call? Because the way I see it, like, we have a curriculum. I don't know if you guys have seen the curriculum that we are following that curriculum down the path. Let me see. There's a curriculum. I don't know if I still have it. So we have a curriculum and we are working with that curriculum. That's why I was trying. Let me see. I don't know. Let's see. Have So Joseph said he said he shared that curriculum with everyone, but I don't know if you guys have it. I'm just trying to open. So this is what we are working with. All right, so this is what we are doing, right? So this is what we are working with. Currently this is where we are, this is where we are at the moment. Scanning and enumeration. Then we have other phases, which try and look at our other tools that we are going to be using. Then we have SOC class coming. Then we have several projects because we have to learn how to use some of these tools. Basically, then we have some other projects that we'll be doing on Let's Defend platform that we've already started. TryAcme, Vonub. So basically, we have a lot of tools to learn how to use. Then on the SOC class, malware analysis, social engineering. So, but currently this is where we are, and we have this session has other different tools that we are going to be enumerating, because currently what we've just enumerated is FTP, NetBIOS. So we have DNS, user group, and see how we can exploit them. Then we are going to spend some time under system hacking, because we are not just working with Metasploitable, we have other victim machine. So on TryAcme, we are going to be doing some basic exercise to see how we can exploit it too. So the Metasploitable is just one of those practical exercises that we'll be doing. So we have eFind that will be coming here to take us on this on SOC analysis on our SOC class. To drill down on using different tools like Alien Vault. I don't know other tools that is going to be explained in this class, but there are some SIM tools that they're going to be using on this class. But I don't know the details, but I'm not the instructor that will be taking this. So this is where we are. I don't know if you have information around this. So that was why I was saying that it's all part of the process, going from intro into practical base, what's it called, training, then doing a lot of projects to enhance our skills. So is there any question, guys? Apart from that, Are you cleared, or do you have to talk to Joseph?
I am cleared for a little bit. He said he can't talk now, so he will talk later. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, so guys, is there any other question apart from what we have? Is there any other question? Do you guys understand what we did? So for you guys that still don't have your Kali, please try and set it up. Try and practice these things. It's not enough to go through the class and watch the videos. You need to put your hands dirty. Try and go through it yourself so that you understand you understand it. You can talk about it. That's the most important thing, right? So guys, thank you. There's no other question. I'll call it a day for today. All right. Bye.